Well. It's almost like teams were waiting for the start of free agency to begin so they could announce some epic signings. Oh wait, that is what happened. Anyway, welcome to the next episode of the Overwatch League 2023 Offseason Recap. And here in this episode, we are going to go over all of the things that happened within the first few days of the start of the free agency signing window. So sit back, relax, give this video a like if you want more, and let's get right into it, where we're going to start with the team that obviously made the biggest splashes so far, that being the Boston Uprising. So in what was probably a pretty surprising turn of events for a lot of people, the Boston Uprising announced their initial roster with Striker, Decay, Birdring, Smurf, Lee Jae-gon, and Izayaki. First off, how? Second off, congratulations, Boston fans. You truly have a roster to look forward to for the first time, well, like, ever. Considering that how factor, you kind of have to just point the finger at the new Uprising management and thank them if you're an Uprising fan. See what happens when you change your management and you go to a new approach? It results in a more exciting team that the fans actually deserve. The way of old for the Boston Uprising when Huck was in charge was to be more of penny pinchers for the most part and go for diamonds in the rough, so to speak. An interesting approach that sometimes found some fruitful results, but mostly resulted in a lot of sadness and mediocrity over the years. But then you switch over to Pre, who has the winning mentality. This guy wants to go for it all. He was amazing on Washington. I love this guy a lot. He's always very transparent with his actions, and he's bringing in brand new culture and sort of idealism to the Boston Uprising franchise that people will come to appreciate. Whether this team succeeds or not, at least he's given them a chance. Looking into these pickups, though, I mean, just getting Smurf, Lee Jae-gon, and Izayaki alone is a W offseason right off the bat. Smurf was like a top 2 tank player in the world for most people in 2022, and the former Shanghai backline is still one of the best in the league. Also, on a brighter note, Birdring is back, baby. After taking a year off, he is ready to compete again, and I am so glad to see him back in the league because he is way too talented to not be here. There maybe could be some question marks on how he does after taking a year off, but with his mechanics, I think he's going to be perfectly fine. He's a veteran of the game. He'll adjust onto new heroes no problem like Sojourn. We saw a bit of a preview during the Legends tournament. He'll be fine, I promise you that. He can definitely still be a superstar in this league. For the Decay signing, this one makes a lot of sense and was somewhat predictable because he does have a past relationship with General Manager Pre. They both were linked up on Washington for a long time, and Pre himself even said that they have some unfinished business to take care of. The only question is, can Decay play better with this kind of support around him now? Or are the haters right about this guy, that he'll never actually realize the potential that we all know he has? Well, the thing with Decay is we know what he can do when he has a proper and stable team environment around him. He can be a superstar in the Overwatch League. It has happened countless times before, but a lot of haters are going to argue that it's been a couple of years since we have seen that true version of him as a bona fide superstar, and that his time in this league might be up as a true star player, and that the competition is just caught up to him now. I'll leave it up to you to decide what you think of that down in the comments below. Also, Striker is back on the Boston Uprising for a third time. Can we talk about that real quick? That's kind of hilarious. Dude literally just left the team in dramatic fashion for a second time, and now he's already back before a year is even up. What are the odds, man? Hopefully this time there's no drama around him, though. He did really want to play with Smurf again, so maybe he's going to truly be happy now. But it also says a lot about Striker in a way. The fact that he's so willing to come back after leaving just not even a year ago is pretty crazy. He clearly wants to win a title with this franchise if he's so willing to come back for a third time. Maybe he just needed better management in place. Maybe Huck wasn't the move and he didn't get along with him very well. Maybe having Pre there will make him a lot happier. Also, in spite of the past that Striker has had with Boston, I think fans should be thankful for him coming here, as he likely played a major part in getting Smurf to come here since they are very, very close. Overall, though, this team from top to bottom is pretty terrifying on paper. Let's just put it that way. There's maybe some question marks on how the DPS do, though. I will admit it. Birdring, while talented, yes, hasn't played in a year. Decay is going to be this team's flex DPS as well, and I don't really know how he does in that situation. He could do okay, but most people see him more as a hit scan player. And then there's Striker, while good, is kind of more of a specialist who plays the Reaper and the Tracer, and that's basically it. So I don't know how that's going to work. That rotation is a little weird. It can work, it really can, but it might depend on the meta. Decay did say he wanted to play flex this year, which is cool, but without a true projectile player, it could be a bit of a concern. And if that wasn't enough, on top of it all with this DPS line, Decay and Striker's history of drama could scare some fans. Although apparently, according to the Shock, Striker is reformed now, so we'll see about that. And maybe Decay will be happy since the team around him is pretty stacked. But due to all of these factors, a lot of people think this roster could flop, and well, who could blame them? But on paper, if everything sticks, yes, that's a big if, they're going to be a contender. There is a lot of championship experience on this one team. Decay is the only player to have never won a title on this roster so far, and that experience can go a long, long way, especially when basically every player on your team has superstar potential. All I'm going to say is, early on here in this offseason, look out for Boston, folks. They're coming. Moving into the Houston Outlaws, they also made some power moves, so to speak, by announcing Fearless, Shu, and Happy, as well as Pelican coming back for another season. And all I'm going to say is, this is an incredible start to Houston's offseason, as at the very least, Fearless, Shu, and Pelican are playmakers that are absolutely amazing and are championship level pieces. We've seen Fearless win a title, and we know that Shu and Pelican can be superstars, so that's a great place to be if you're Houston. They're looking to go all in this year, and right now they're putting themselves in a great position to compete. I mean, even just getting Pelican back is a pretty big W, as there was a lot of major concerns halfway through the season that he would be leaving because of the fact that they traded away Piggy, but now that he's back, it shows that he is committed, and he's a lot happier than he was then, and who knows, maybe Piggy will come back at some point, because those two definitely want to play together again. And it would make sense to bring back somebody like Piggy, because while Fearless is amazing, he can't play everything himself, so another tank would definitely be ideal in this situation. As for the new pieces though, Fearless, I mean, he literally just won Grand Finals MVP. Enough said there. He's an excellent Winston player. He can play all of the main tanks at a pretty high level. But again, there are some concerns about his overall hero pool, so I'm really hoping that he's not the solo tank. If he is the solo tank, that could definitely raise some eyebrows. But for now, we'll sit back and wait to see what Houston does in that regard. But in general, he does have the championship experience that you're looking for. He's a superstar player, so this is great. And when it comes to Shu, a lot of the same can be said. I mean, he hasn't won a title yet, but at his best, he can literally be the #1 flex support in the Overwatch League. He has a very aggressive style. He's definitely an upgrade over Iris in Lastro and Creative. He's just built different. He really is. He's a god. He can put in so much work at that flex support position, and I think the Houston Outlaws will benefit tremendously from it, especially because someone like him and Fearless are both pretty aggressive players. Now it's a matter of getting the right main support so he can truly pop off to the fullest extent. All that is good and well, but the more, I guess, controversial signing in some people's eyes is Happy. And I admit it is a little strange to see him come back, because he was on this team in 2021, and while he was good, he wasn't great. And then they got Merit this year, and they played better, but they got rid of Merit, so it seems really, really weird on the surface. A lot of people say that Merit's just a straight-up better player, and that's a fair thing to say. But I think it is fair to give Happy a real shot here, as the team around him compared to the 2021 Houston roster is a lot different. They're looking a lot better, maybe a bit better coached as well. And Happy is coming off his most consistent year as a pro, so I think that also is pretty beneficial for him. So I'd give him a chance if I'm a Houston fan. Merit's going to be very much missed, as he's a rookie. That was really exciting. He has a lot of potential, but I think Happy can be pretty good for them too. He's kind of coming into his own now. This could be the year of Happy. I personally maybe would have kept Merit to see what he can do, but hey, it's all good. Happy's back on Houston, and I think he's going to probably pop off with all of the support around him. And hey, him and Shu are finally linking up again after their Guangzhou days, so that's pretty cool. Generally, Houston are off to a damn good start with this offseason. This is a great core four, and I cannot wait to see what they do to finish up this roster. But Houston also made another interesting headline during these last couple of days, when it was announced that Neko, former player of the Hangzhou Spark and assistant coach, is now the new head coach of the Houston Outlaws. I was not expecting this. This kind of came out of left field because Junkbuck has been a fantastic coach these last couple of years. It seemed like his job was solidified, but apparently not, as he's moving to a different position, which is supposedly an even higher up role than head coach, so he's going to be overseeing everything. So Outlaws fans shouldn't be that concerned in that regard. He's still going to be around to control things. Everything will be fine, I hope. It's still going to be his system most most likely, but now Neko's going to be the guy probably more on the front line, so to speak, as the head coach. I'm not exactly sure what drove the Outlaws to make this choice and what Neko was able to tell them in interviews and whatnot, but I guess he must be a really well-respected coach if Junkbuck wanted to bring him onto his squad. But of course, as always, with a first-time head coach, it is worth having some concerns and question marks. Neko has never coached at the Overwatch League level as a head coach before. We don't know how he's going to do. This is always a risk when you want to go this way, and we've seen mixed results so far. But if we're going off of recent memory, Toby did pretty well as a first-time head coach, so maybe there's hope for Neko. But of course, it's understandable if you're an Outlaws fan, if you feel some concerns, and if you're not exactly convinced of Neko being the right head coach for you. Junkbuck had a great thing going for the last couple of years, and now you have someone who could potentially disrupt your flow. Probably not, because again, Junkbuck is still there. He's overseeing things as all of the operations are going on, but you always run the risk. So take caution with this. That's all I'm going to say. If the Outlaws screw up, this could potentially be why. Next up on the agenda, we've got the Atlanta Reign, who announced Fielder and Chiyo as their new backline. And dear lord, this team is looking stacked. Lip was already sick as it was. I mean, you're already in like the huge W column for this offseason by landing him. He's like the best hit scan in the league. But now you have arguably the best support line of 2022? Holy moly. I do kind of feel bad for Vigilante, since he should be a full-time starter, but man, him and Fielder in a double flex support comp sounds horrifying. But generally, the Reign literally have 3 of the best players in the league on their one team, and there could be more to come, I suppose. I believe they're done with roster moves, but sometimes plans change, so you never know. This team, though, as it stands, looks incredible. Tank does feel a little weird, though, because Hawk is a bizarre fit, since a lot of their players never actually really played in an English-speaking environment before, so I don't know how Hawk does, especially because he's the only non-Korean player on a shot-calling role. Maybe Hawk will pick up Korean, maybe they'll find a way to make it work, but it still does feel a little strange. Hopefully at some point down the line they change their minds about their roster and they get one other option just to be safe. Hawk is a trustworthy player. He's shown he can be solid, he flexed onto a lot of things for this Reign team in 2022, and he thrived, so he could do alright. But I think just having that safety blanket, if you will make them a true competitor through and through, and they can feel very safe about their choices. Rip to Dallas, by the way, as well. Their team is literally dying before our very eyes. They are down Fearless, Chiyo, and Fielder, as well as Gurio and Doha. I don't think either of them have found a team, but now they're kind of just down to Sparkle and Hanbin. This is it. They're the only 2 remaining guys, and they're free agents as well, so they could be on their way out very, very soon. What a shame that they couldn't run it back after winning it all. That just seems so weird. I feel like every team should be entitled to do that. They should be able to bring back their whole roster for another season after winning a title. Dallas are the first team to go down this road, and it just doesn't feel right. Let's hope they can still have a notable and decent product in 2023 in spite of the changes. I don't know if they'll be at the Reign's level though, because wow, these boys look horrifying on the surface. Just with the best backline in the league, arguably, in Lip, you're set. Like, you have so many superstars and consistent players lining up for you. Stalker has a lot of potential. People don't talk about him enough. He looked pretty good on Soul at times, and I think in a starting role, he could really thrive. In Hawk, like I said before, pretty decent player overall, can be really, really good with good support around him. So if you're an Atlanta fan, you have to be feeling pretty darn good. There's maybe some worries again with Hawk and how Gator does as a first-time head coach, but you're heading in the right direction. I would trust Gator just because of what he's been able to pull off this offseason along with management. They are cooking. Right now, I'm like the way too early ranking system, so to speak. They're in that championship contender level status with the type of roster they have assembled. They look terrifying just like Boston, as well as the Houston Outlaws. They have a lot of championship experience here already, and I'm pretty excited to see what they can do. This is probably their most hyped up roster by far, and hopefully they don't disappoint. Next, we have the LA Gladiators, who announced that Lastro is probably going to be their starting flex support player. Their solution to losing Shu is to pick up Lastro in return. Now, granted, Lastro is a solid, flexible, and dependable player, and a true leader based off of what we saw in Houston last year, but he is a downgrade for sure, as Shu was just way too good. He's a superstar player, and Lastro is not. So losing Shu in free agency is just going to be tough no matter what. Now, Lastro's not a horrible pickup, he just can't replace what Shu did, you know? However, he may not have to. That's like the one look at the bright side type of thing that I can say for Glads fans. Maybe a flex support with a different playstyle could benefit this team. Maybe somebody a bit less aggressive could actually better enable their team and can make funny Astro pop off more since he can be more of his aggressive self. And who knows, you know? It's very early. At the very least, Lastro is a reliable and proven veteran though, and he's flexible, so it could be worse. But with all the losses piling up, there's obviously some major concerns for this Gladiators team. They're known for making big moves every single offseason, but a lot of huge names are already off the market. So maybe, just maybe, their window is finally starting to come to a close. They could still be a good team, but maybe not a great one anymore. We'll see what happens though. So moving on to the final big team of the video, we have the Vancouver Titans, who announced Punk, Crimzo, and Faith as their new pickup so far. And it's not a bad start to the offseason at all. Punk, Aspire, and Crimzo is a pretty darn good core. Not amazing, not championship level, but definitely capable of being like middle of the pack. Punk, with an org that puts full trust in him, could go a long, long way, as he carried Boston a lot last year, and not having to constantly prove himself is only going to make him play with more confidence. He just had to be back in this league. He's too talented, you know? He's underappreciated and very capable of helping this Titans team get some great results. And I can say the same for somebody like Crimzo. Just a great all-around player. Intelligent, bloodthirsty, and a natural leader. And the fact that he's from Canada makes this a nice homecoming, so to speak. The only signing that I'm not so sure of so far is Faith. He's not bad, but still very unproven at the Overwatch League level. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but he was very average from the eye test. But maybe he just needs a new team. You never really know with these kinds of things. Second chances can do a lot for a player's confidence and development, and the fact that he has previous synergy with Crimzo and Punk could probably help the transition go a lot smoother. It's a little weird that Vancouver are basically just taking players from a team, aka Boston, that was 10th place in the West last year, which makes it a little unimpressive, but at least two of them are known and reliable, and with Aspire there as well, Vancouver might have something here. Again, no one's expecting them to be world beaters, but they could at least be somewhat competitive on a regular basis, and that's a huge upgrade compared to what this franchise has been dealing with since the initial Runaway breakup, so I'm really hoping that things can go well for Vancouver fans, as they've been waiting long enough at this point. But with that said, that's going to wrap up episode 1 of the start of 2023 free agency. If you enjoyed it, then make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new and enable notifications by hitting that bell icon if you want to stay up to date with all of the most recent Overwatch League free agency signings, and make sure to let me know what you think of all of the madness so far down in the comments below. And as always, thank you all so much for watching my content. I appreciate each and every one of you, and until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace. Debated, I'm not actually done yet. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to a lot of the amazing people who tuned in to the recent stream that I did. For one, the support in general was absolutely amazing, but a lot of you amazing individuals decided to go above and beyond with your efforts, and you supported me greatly with some amazing donations and just crazy support, and I really can't thank all of you enough. I wanted to give you a shout out in the video for all that you did, because it really did make my day. All of you guys were absolutely insane during the stream, and I just can't thank you enough. It really made my Christmas. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and that's basically it. I'm very, very grateful for this community, and I love you all. Peace out.